Now, when we think about eternity, we also wonder what heaven will actually be like. Will we recognize or reunite with our loved ones in heaven? Will heaven be a perfected version of earth or something entirely beyond our current understanding?
Okay, very fascinating question, because that's the huge future. That's the climax. All right. No, that's important because generally people, when we think of, okay, we are young people, teenagers, or in the early 20s, we are young. And then people who cross 40, 50, or 60, they say, okay, I'm getting retired. Now, that's a very earthy way of looking at this time scale. Because biblically, for a Christ follower, the future is always better than the past. So there must be a huge optimism about the future, no matter what the past is. We can rise above a past failure. Remember, I talked about rise. We can rise above a past failure, past abuse, or a situation. We can rise above. But the future is what is very promising, and we look forward to that. There will be a continuity from here to there. Okay, everything is not going to be completely different. In the sense, I think we would be able to identify people like Peter, James, and John were able to identify Moses and Elijah at the Mount of Transfiguration. How did they do that? All right, so people will be able to identify people because the Bible upholds the way God has made us uniquely. But what would heaven be like? So there is a continuity, there is also a discontinuity. There'll be something markedly different in heaven from here, as much as there'll be something that will continue. All right? So our values, our work, our actions, our behavior here has a repercussion in the life to come. I think the Bible gives us sufficient clues to that. Uh, Let me share a story from my life. When I was young, I used to be petrified of the second coming of Christ. I'm not sure if preachers are still preaching that, but I used to hear messages like that, and it's very scary. They'll describe hellfire for you and all that. And the number one fear is, am I going to make it to heaven or not? Is the number one question. The number two issue was, even if I was going to heaven, I was not very excited about it. I'm like, what's the big deal? Because these preachers gave me a picture of the heaven which was not very inviting for me. All right? Because they would say heaven is a place we'll be worshiping God 24 by 7. That seems a little tiring to me. All right? And by the way, I'm not so much into music and singing and all that. So I'm like, what? Worship, singing? How can I do this and all that? So it was not a very alluring prospect for me. I used to daily pray, Lord, let the world not end. Not in my time. Well, I used to be very passionate about sports then. So I'm like, I'm having a good time here. I have my friends. There's football. There's all these games that we play. No hurry. So I used to literally pray the world should not end. But as I kept maturing in the Lord, I realized if a football game can give you so much pleasure, how much more pleasurable it would be to be with a God from whom all good gifts come. That's why there is this verse in the Bible which says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, nor has the human mind conceived what God has prepared for those who love Him. That's beyond our greatest dreams and imagination. For one, you and I will be people without sin. There won't be greed, there won't be jealousy, there won't be hatred, there won't be double crossing, there won't be deception. Or that itself will be quite an experience for us. We'll be freed to do the right thing. All right. So heaven is far more glorious than anybody can envision. See, the book of Revelation also gives us some picture. It says the streets of heaven are made of gold. It just says it like that. See, gold is such a sought after metal in this world. Not only by individuals, even nations' wealth is measured by gold bullion. In heaven, streets of gold. So, what we value and pursue as the greatest investment or treasure in this world becomes just street material there. So, imagine what will be far more valuable there in the presence of God, God Himself. If gifts can be so pleasurable, how much far greater wouldn't it be to be the giver of all these good gifts?